And to me, that's always been probably like the biggest challenge. Even, I mean, it's a challenge that I feel like I've done really well with, but I do feel like that's one of the biggest challenges of being an entrepreneur is a lot of times the things that you're trying to create are really a year, 2 years, 3 years away, which feels like a long fucking time away when there's things you really want. But at the same time, you can stay in control of those things by what you're willing to do today.
How many times have we shared the after picture without sharing how long the journey was? This is something that if you are willing to fall on your face, you can do it. The question is, are you willing to get back up? My name is Josh, and I'm your push coach. I'm the #1 best-selling author of F Leadership, and for the last 6 years, I've helped over 40,000 entrepreneurs to take ownership of their businesses and create tangible results that have changed their businesses and lives forever. Let's dive in.
I'm really curious as to when you journal, do you just go into like a creative mode? Or do you have like a specific process that you do? Like, what is your brainstorming? What does it look like?
What does my brainstorming look like? Okay, so are we talking about like morning time journaling or more of like, oh, I'm just like in creative mode?
Well, let's start like the morning journaling type.
So the morning routine, I mean, I use the self journal. And I kind of go through some like just intentional things like writing down what I'm thankful for and what's coming on the day. I use the blank space on the other side, usually as more of kind of like a personal affirmation process. So kind of whatever I've been like struggling with a little bit, maybe, it's more of like an encouraging word. It's really more of like a self-coaching process.
Okay.
So I'll remind myself, one of the things I've been working on really hard lately is reminding myself that the things like the vision that I have for the future is both a long ways away, which is totally okay, and something that I can do something about today. And to me, that's always been probably like the biggest challenge. Even, I mean, it's a challenge that I feel like I've done really well with, but I do feel like that's one of the biggest challenges of being an entrepreneur is a lot of times the things that you're trying to create are really a year, 2 years, 3 years away, which feels like a long fucking time away when there's things you really want. But at the same time, you can stay in control of those things by what you're willing to do today. And so it's kind of this like unsettling patience, like reminding myself, like, it's okay that you're not going to make it to $5 million by tomorrow. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, no matter what we do today, that's not going to happen. So for a second, like, just breathe and be okay with the fact that that's going to take time. And that's why we need to be intentional about what we do today. So I have lots of different things, that I'm milling around on in the back of my brain and ideas and thoughts. And the trick is to think that like having enough of those thoughts will magically make things happen. And it's like, it's okay to have all of those thoughts, but you also like have to develop patience. Like I'm working on 5 different freemiums right now. And the reality is I have no idea if any of them will work. I mean, I have confidence that probably one of them is going to like work pretty well, but like, I don't know until I take the time to make the landing page for it. Then I have Michelle go. My thing is like, I really want it done today. Like I would love to have all 5 of them up and running with ads and know before I go to bed today which one the winner is, so that I feel like I've like figured out what we're doing. And that doesn't usually happen very well. I mean, I can, but I'm getting better at being like, this is the part I can do today. Pass it off and let someone else do the finishing pieces that I really shouldn't be spending my time doing. It's going to take a couple weeks. And even then, we're going to find a winner. And then we're still going to have to be like, okay, now let's go make the landing page what it really needs to be. Let's go make the email. So it's like the reality is everything we're working on, I think I said this in probably both of my books, everything we're working on is like 6 months away from actually doing us any good. That's why it's really hard to stay consistent, because it's like, if it's not working right now, we can be very quickly tempted to move on to something different,
changing
before we even figure out if the thing we were doing was going to work. That's hard. That's probably my biggest challenge, is just being patient enough to find out if it will work 6 months from now. I don't know if that helps at all.
It does. It really does, because I feel like I find myself doing that, like having all these ideas, and then which one am I going to implement, or thinking too far out, and not sticking to like one thing, testing it, and then just like moving forward.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but you gotta, that's why the heart voice is so important, because you have to find something you believe in enough to give it 6 months. And that doesn't mean that for 6 months you literally don't change anything. It just means that whatever you're building, you give it 6 months to like tweak, play with, mess around with a little bit. Like, I'm not going to put out the freemium and then literally just let it sit there for 6 months to see what happens. Like, I'm going to be like, okay, now what can we do over this 6 months to optimize it and make it the best it can possibly be? And then if at the end of 6 months, the best it can possibly be is not worth our time and money and energy, then it's like, okay, let's move on.
Right. Okay.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Something that if you are willing to fall on your face, you can do it. The question is, are you willing to get back up? My name is Josh, and I'm your push coach. I'm the #1 best-selling author of F Leadership, and for the last 6 years, I've helped over 40,000 entrepreneurs to take ownership of their businesses and create tangible results that have changed their businesses and lives forever. Let's dive in.